So the opening part of our reading today presented us with a fascinating story involving the tribes of Gad and Reuven. The Israelites are on the eastern side of the seaboard of the Jordan River. They can peek into their future. And the Reubenites and the Gadites approach Moses with a proposal. We will forego our claim to any land on the other side of the Jordan, but instead give us the land that we are currently in. After all, God conquered it for us. Therefore, we should do something with it. Somebody's got to take care of it. So we'll and it happens that it serves our needs because we have lots of flocks and herds, and this place is pretty good for that. It seems a relatively reasonable request. Moshe is not nearly as impressed. His first response is, what? We, as a nation, conquered this land together. And now you're going to send the rest of the tribes across the river to do battle, and you're going to sit here? Pas nicht. Well, I'm guessing Moshe probably didn't use that particular phrase. But he's impugning a certain qualities to them. Are they afraid? Are they cowards? Are they saying, we got lucky once, let's not push our luck? Moshe then goes on. You're repeating history. You're rejecting the land that God promised to our ancestors. Remember what happened last time. We ended up wandering in the wilderness for an extra 38 years because someone had the great idea of, let's not go there, let's go somewhere else. Are you going to trigger a divine response like that again? Didn't you learn anything? And the leaders of Gad and Reuven essentially do the following. And this is the visual image that I've got. And it's rooted a little bit in the text, because it says that the Gadites and Reubenites who had originally spoken to Moses and Eleazar, the high priest, and Joshua, Moshe's designated successor, and the leaders of the tribes, the text then says they go over and they talk to Moshe. And I almost picture, them putting their arm around Moshe and going like, that's not what we're saying. We are perfectly prepared to help our Israelite brethren find their home, settle in their land, and we are willing not only to help them, but we're willing to go in the vanguard. We're going to be the leaders of the Israelite army, but allow us to leave our children and our flocks here, and we'll build what they need as an infrastructure, and then we're with you the rest of the way. Moshe emerges from that private meeting, and he says to Joshua and to Eleazar and to the tribal leaders, okay, here's the new deal. And it's intriguing how the commentators have dealt with this story. Depending on their proclivity, they're either very, very nasty towards the tribes of Gad and Reuven, or they're very, very elevating of them. So some latch onto the fact that what seems to be the motivator here for the Gadites and the Reubenites, it's the pasture land. This is fiscally good for us. This is what we need. And in fact, they highlight the fact that when the Gadites and Reubenites put forth their proposal, they say to Moses, we'll build pens for our flocks and cities for our families. And Moshe inverts that and says, no, guys, get your priorities right. Build cities for your families, and then build pens and barns for your critters. But some of the commentators take this as what are the Gadites and Reubenites most interested in? Their wealth, their affluence, the things that they possess. And therefore, because that's what they focus on, they're willing to forego what the land of Israel represents. Others, much more positive view of the Gadites and Reubenites. The seer of Lublin says the Gadites and the Reubenites had such a special bond with Moses that they did not want to separate from Moses even after his death, and they therefore wished to remain on the eastern side of the Jordan where Moses was going to die and be buried. Doesn't that sound very nice? I have no idea where he got that from. Because the Reubenites and Moses butt heads a whole lot in the wilderness. But it's an intriguing idea. The Chaye Harim, Rabbi Yitzhak Meir Alter, suggests that the Gadites and the Reubenites wanted to receive these territories on the eastern side of the Jordan River as their portion, so that by doing so, they would extend and expand the sanctity of the land of Israel by dint of their settling there on behalf of the people. Fascinating idea. An expansionist model. And I was intrigued by it in some ways because all of this raises all the questions of modernity and our relationship to the land of Israel. There are those who would seek today to expand and maximize the state of Israel, ignoring all of the people and problems that it would trigger, but see it as a way of affirming the sanctity of the land. For others, it becomes the question of how do we become, in the diaspora, the Gadites and Reubenites? How do we reflect our support for and commitment to our brethren in Israel? The Reubenites and Gadites are unequivocal here. This is not about an act of separation, but rather we are going to find an alternate path by which we provide for Jews in the land of Israel. This polarity has been the reality of the Jewish community from the time of the conquest until the present. If we don't live there, how do we connect? If we don't live there, how do we support? And not just in moments of crisis. David Ben-Gurion is quoted as saying that the land made us a people. Very intriguing idea. It in some ways suggests that somehow before the state of Israel, what were we? Oh, our ancestors were nomads. They were wanderers. They traveled, as our Parsha described in great detail, through a litany of places, the names of which we can't always pronounce so easily. But I never had the sense that we were not a nation, that we were not a people. But Ben Gurion gives us, suggests that a geographic home helps center us and give us focus, whether we live inside or outside of the land. Of the Jewish people, as a creative, self-respecting, equal partner of the human family, feels inconceivable without the security and the peace of the land of Israel, a place which has brought together so many remnants of our people who fled persecution and others who went there simply out of a love for the land. So, perhaps the best version of the Gadites, those who support, protect, and are willing to fight on behalf of our brethren in order to ensure a secure and safe state of Israel in our day, cardinal rule of Judaism and as a fulfillment of our journey as Jews. Amen. Chaverim, let me invite you to turn back to our Sidurim.